but they got a really good wide receiver in the second round, and a guy that if I don't think he tore his ACL, I believe that this is a guy that it would have went in the first round. What's up, Draft Network fans? This is Sanchez from the Draft Network, here to talk about the Houston Texans 2022 draft class. Their offseason was well documented, right? They traded away Pro Bowl quarterback Deshaun Watson, and then they have a new head coach in Lovie Smith. So this offseason was pivotal if the Houston Texans really want to turn things around and become a key contender in the AFC South. The Houston Texans started this draft off with one of my favorite players, right? LSU cornerback Derek Stingley. Derek Stingley is a press man-to-man corner that just showed to have elite cover skills, but also was really important, the elite ball skills. He's a guy that can get the ball back and give it back to the offense. And I think that's really important in a defensive back. And just to have that guy, especially in the Lovie Smith defense, I think will prove vital because everyone knows that Lovie Smith, he likes to run a cover two defense. But just listening to some of the press conferences and knowing the player that Derek Stingley is, I'm expecting the Houston Texans to be much more multiple on defense. And I think it will prove well. And I think the Houston Texans will play substantially better just by adding a guy like Derek Stingley. My future outlook for Derek Stingley this upcoming season is for him to be penciled in as the #1 starter. And I think he's a guy that will play at a high level, matching the #1 wide receiver on opponents' offenses. So following the Derek Stingley pick, the Houston Texans had another first-round pick, and they went with in-state offensive lineman, Texas A&M Aggie Kenyon Green. Kenyon Green in his college career played every position from left tackle to left guard to right tackle. So this is a versatile offensive lineman. And look, at the end of the day, if we want to figure out if Davis Mills is going to actually be a starting quarterback in the NFL, we have to protect him. Everybody focuses on the offensive weapons, but I think you have to get an offensive line in front of your young quarterback first. And Kenyon Green is a guy that I think has a high ceiling, a potential all-pro type offensive lineman, no matter what position he plays in. So I think this is an immediate starter, and this is a guy that brings a certain tenacity to this offensive line to really get things turned around. With their first pick in the second round, the Houston Texans once again decided to stay in the state of Texas, but this time they went to Baylor University and drafted All-American safety JALEN. JALEN is a versatile defender that can play that stand-up outside linebacker position, but he can also play that nickel cornerback position also. So this is a guy that I expect to play everywhere and align everywhere along Lovie Smith defense. And just future outlook for this upcoming season, this is a guy I definitely expect to be a key contributor year one, probably be a starter, but if not, he would definitely be a key contributor and devote himself to being a tone setter. With their second pick in the second round, the Houston Texans finally got out of the state of Texas, but this time they stayed in the South and they went to University of Alabama and drafted the dynamic playmaker, explosive playmaker, John Metchie. John Metchie is a true take the top off type guy, and the way he runs his routes, he keeps so many defensive backs guessing that he gets separation immediately. And I know everybody was expecting the Houston Texans to take a wide receiver in the first round because they wanted to help Davis Mills out, but they got a really good wide receiver in the second round, and a guy that if I don't think he tore his ACL, I believe that this is a guy that it would have went in the first round. So they got really good value for John Metchie, and like I said, he's a guy that Davis Mills will be able to come off of those play action bootleg style plays and just launch the ball 40, 50 yards down the field. And I expect John Metchie to be there, be open, and catch the football. So this is a dynamic playmaker, and the Houston Texans did a really good job drafting this guy in the second round. With the third round pick, the Houston Texans went back to the University of Alabama, but this time they drafted linebacker Christian Harris. Christian Harris, during his time at University of Alabama, showcased true athleticism. This is a guy that can cover running backs out of the backfield on wheel routes. He can cover tight ends running up those seams and also cover wide receivers in the slot. So I'm expecting Lovie Smith to really place this guy in space and allow him to use his athleticism to his best ability. Christian Harris, if I'm being honest, he struggled a little bit in the box. So he's a guy that early on, I'm not expecting to play on first and second downs, but he will be a third down contributor, especially when this defense is able to place offenses in those 3rd and 5 plus, because like I said, he's a plus level defender in space. But I do expect by year 2 or year 3, Christian Harris to be able to be a 3-down linebacker for the Houston Texans. And once again, this was a great pick for the Houston Texans. In the 4th round, the Houston Texans went after Florida running back Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce, for much of this draft process, was kind of the talk of the NFL community because he showcased true skills at the Senior Bowl, but everybody wondered why he didn't get the carries at Florida. And if you talk to some of his teammates, they didn't quite necessarily agree with him not getting the carries, right? So watching this guy up close and personal, I know that Dameon Pierce is a great pass protector. And then also watching the film, he also is really good running the football. He's just one of those running backs that just manages to get those extra yards. And while he doesn't do anything flashy, he's a very effective running back. So the Houston Texans are at the point right now in their franchise where they're trying to find those pillars, right? And we know they've been doing a running back by committee type situation. So I'm expecting next year for Dameon Pierce to come in. He's going to be a part of that committee, but I'm fully expecting this young guy to take over by the back end of the football season and really show that, you know what, I can be a high level productive football player. And I fully expect his NFL career to be much more productive than what his college football career was. In the 5th round, the Houston Texans decided to go with Stanford defensive tackle Thomas Booker. Thomas Booker is a versatile defensive lineman that can play anywhere from the 0 tech to the 3 tech to defensive end. And I fully expect him to do this in the NFL. He's a high-level football player with a great motor, and he also gets great penetration when you have those slant plays. So in this Lovie Smith defense, I'm expecting Lovie to dial some things up for this guy just so he could get penetrated and really disrupt offensive plays. This is a football player that, while I don't expect him to be a day one starter, I'm fully expecting by year 2, year 3, you're starting to see significant return on investment of defensive tackle Thomas Booker. So with their second pick in the 5th round, the Houston Texans went after Oregon State tight end TEAGAN QUITORIANO. QUITORIANO showed in college to be a well-rounded tight end, and I expect this guy to get on the field when the Houston Texans decide to go with those 2 tight end personnel packages. We know that the Houston Texans have Brevin Jordan, who's that vertical stretch the field guy, and I think QUITORIANO would be a great complement for that. And then also we know that they have a young quarterback in Davis Mills. And sometimes a quarterback best friend is just one of those tight ends that's just hanging over the middle of the field. And that's what I fully expect TEAGAN to become. So with this pick in the 5th round, I don't expect TEAGAN to be a day one starter. But in a new offense with a new scheme and a year 2 quarterback, sometimes running 2 tight end personnels are actually very helpful and beneficial for a quarterback. So I expect TEAGAN, whenever they do decide to go with those 2 tight end packages, to see the field, and he'll just kind of always be the second tight end along this offense. And with their last pick in the 2022 draft, the Houston Texans went back to LSU and this time drafted experienced offensive tackle Austin DECULUS. Austin DECULUS left LSU as the most experienced starter, having notched the most starts of any LSU Tiger in their football history. So this lets you know that this guy has seen it all. And if you're able to snatch a guy in the 6th round, an offensive tackle that has played high-level football, this is a good value pick. Austin DECULUS is a player that I'm not sure if he's ever going to be a dependable starter, but if you're thinking about a backup tackle that can swing from the left side to the right side, but also is very experienced, then I would have to look at this and say, you know what, this is a good value pick. So I'm fully expecting the Houston Texans to bring Austin DECULUS into camp, him to make that 53-man roster, and it may take him a couple years to actually see the field, but I think it's good value on this pick because, like you said, once again, we're talking about the 6th round. So that wraps up the Houston Texans 2022 draft class. So make sure to leave a comment and let me know what you guys think about it.